That music just makes you want to just dance a little, doesn't
Makes you
it?
want to dance. It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday, everyone. And you know what time that is? It is time for Manufacturing E-Commerce Success. I am one of the co-hosts here, Damon Pistolka. And what?
Where's Kurt?
That's not Kurt Anderson. That's Gail Robertson. Thanks so much for being here today, Gail.
I'm excited to join you. And, we were just talking about how long we've known each other in terms of you and Kurt and through online networking, which we're going to be talking about, and the power of doing that both online and in person.
Yes. We're going to be talking about one of the title is Networking with Curiosity, because Gail, if you don't know, is the Chief Curiosity Officer in her company, GailNow. And we're going to be ready to go here. Wow, I just want to say, first of all, Dave's here.
Woo,
what's
Dave.
happening? King of Process. We got Harry Flares here, which is, leadership all the way. Thanks so much for being here. Drop some comments. Let us know where you're coming from, and we shall get started. So, Dave, who loves to network? I think I've got someone right there. Gail, kick us off here.
Well, let's go with that. Who loves to network? I'm going to say not everyone. And that's okay. We were talking about that, Damon, that, I happen to love it. It energizes me. Whereas for many people, it doesn't, but that's okay. I use the example. I have a friend that must run, and she runs and swims and cycles, and she feels driven to do that. I'm not driven to do that, but do I do it? Yes. I go to the gym. I get on my bike, not because I'm like, oh, I have to do it. It's because of the results that I get from it, how I feel long term as well. So, so it's really important to, also just conquer that idea of fear as well, and acknowledge that you may not like it. I think people think you have to love it to get out there and network. And it has a bit of it's had a bit of a bad rap too, because I think people see it as, I got to go do small talk, and I got to go, talk to people I don't like or don't want to talk to. Or the other thing is, I could be doing other things that are more productive, or what they believe is more productive. Sadly, though, they're often looking at doing things like cold calling and emails. So, Damon, I think we should talk about cold calling and emails.
Cold calling, yeah. That's to me is like the most boring thing in the world to do. But I agree with you. People think because we do these shows that I'm some sort of extrovert. I'm not. I mean, I like to meet people. I am really comfortable around them once I know them. But to go to the networking things used to be really tough for me. And but it is something that you can overcome. I don't care if you're an engineer, accountant, or whatever. You can learn how to do it, and have some semblance of fun at it. It might not be your complete deal, but that's the way it is. But I just want to say, hey, first of all, we got Megan in the room. Megan, thanks so much for being here today. She's normally doing her show, but she's not doing it today. That's awesome. We got Shafa in here today. Thanks for being here. Timothy from across the pond as well. He's in here today. But yeah, this, you think about it, and people, I think people associate networking with selling.
Yes.
And I've got actually a client of mine, he calls it making friends. I think if you go into it doing something like that, we're just out making friends. That's all you think about. It's a lot easier to do.
And the other thing too, and I think that's a great way to look at it. How do you want to experience, and what is your goal? I do public relations strategy with people. And one of the things I always start with is, what do you want to accomplish? Why do you want to do this? So if you're going to say networking, maybe someone may say, now it could be that they say, I don't need more business. Okay, that could be part of it. Maybe they don't need more friends. But here's the other thing, is that it's an opportunity, and this is where curiosity comes in. It's an opportunity to learn more about other people, other industries. Often when I'm going to events, it's not, even sometimes I go to things that have nothing to do with whether manufacturing or, I went to a recent event. It was for International Women's Day. It was at the university, and I ended up on the way in. We were trying to figure out where about the parking, and I wasn't sure. So I started talking to this woman who's a lawyer. Anyways, we had a chat. We were talking. We ended up sitting next to one another, and now we're going to be meeting. And she's interested in talking more about how to use LinkedIn for the work she's doing. But in no time did I say, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" Or, "Oh, I could help you," anything like that. She asked me what I did. I said what I did. She told me what she did. And as we talked, she was drawn to the idea of, "Okay, tell me more about what you do." You know what? I'm wondering if, so she got curious about, well, why LinkedIn? What opportunity does it bring? So I just told her stories. And from that's led to us. But she's also someone I really enjoyed talking to, sitting next to. So when I went to that event, I had no plan to, I'm going to hand out my business cards and promote myself, right? So I think it is about, making those connections and getting curious. That's what I said. You don't even need to think about it as, like, say, friends or business. It could be, what can I learn? Because when we're learning, we're growing, and we're expanding our knowledge. And that is what I'm an even bigger fan of, and why I like going to various events, both in person as well as online.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is from Dwight. Be more interested than interesting. 150%.
Yeah.
Because if you get, a handful of good questions to ask people you walk up to at a networking event, everybody wants to talk about themselves if you ask them. And you just ask the right questions, and they're going to walk away with a good feeling, if nothing else. And you're going to learn, like you said, you're going to learn a lot.
Yes. The woman that I spoke to at that event, the lawyer, it turns out she lived in an area near where my niece lives. So I said, "Do you know of this store? It's a pet food store. And that's where my niece manages." She says, "Yes, I took my dog in there." So we just had this whole interesting conversation. And I just want to go back to something that Megan said that I think is really important, that she loves it, but she says, "But I have a time limit because I am an anxious introvert and need that reset time." Yes. And this is where a lot of people, people think that introverts are shy. No, that's not it at all. It has more to do with what energizes you. Now, there's certain things. I know someone like Megan is probably energized. She's a writer. She likes interviewing people. So she'd be very much on that one-on-one. And if you meet Megan, she is one of the most dynamic, interesting, like, wow, people you're going to meet. I just love her energy. She's not shy. But that's where we need to really revisit what those terms mean. And, I'm not also a big fan of labels. We start to label people, "Oh, they're an introvert, they're an extrovert, they're this." Like, most people would consider me an extrovert, but there's people more extroverted than I am, because I also do need a reset time as well. But what I find is helpful is to think of it again as removing those labels. Instead, think of it as stepping out of what you feel comfortable with. There's times I go to events too that I'm a little nervous. I walk in, a lot of times I go by myself, right? So I walk in and I'm like, so what I usually look for is someone else that also looks a little nervous, right? And go talk, say, "Hey," and I'll ask them a question. "Do you know whatever?" Ask a question. And I've yet to have any real negative experience. The other thing is, when I go to an event and I see someone that enters that looks nervous or uncertain, I try to go over and talk to them and make them feel more comfortable. So
that's great advice. Because they usually would welcome it, and B, it's an easy place to start a conversation and help them as well. So that's awesome. Boy, we got a lot of comments coming in, man. So let's get back here. Let's just see, where'd we go? Blah 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 blah. We got some mentioning. I'm gonna start here. Dale is in here from Nigeria, I think, or Dafe, excuse me. I can't read this morning.
Yeah.
And then Harry's got a great comment here. Instead of trying to close a sale, why not open a relationship? Boom. That's the way to do that.
If Kurt was here, he'd say, "Whoa, let's just reflect on that." I love that. That is very, very true.
Great one. Great one. And then Dave says something nice. Says thanks. Met a lot of great people through networking. And that's true. I mean, the reality of it is you can meet life-changing people by just getting out and talking to people. And that's the way to go. We got Katie's in here today. Thanks for being here today, Katie.
Haven't met Katie in person. No, we did meet in person very briefly. Yes, we met briefly at a trade show. I just had to think because I was like, I've met you in person. I've met Dave Chrysler in person. And we all met during the epidemic, right?
Yeah,
so when we were mostly, for many, forced to do the online. I had already been doing it, but many felt they didn't have any other opportunity until then.
Yeah. It's, but that's the thing that's really cool. I think now as we see coming, COVID taught us how to do it online.
Mm-hmm.
But as we see for manufacturing and other kinds of businesses now, the combination of in real life and online marketing really expands our ability to connect with people, to get to know people, and to build community around, ourselves, our businesses, or whatever our cause is.
Yes. And all of those things, again, a lot of people do reference my title, Chief Curiosity Officer. Curiosity is a skill that can be like anything. It's a muscle. It can be expanded and stretched, and you can get in there and just ask questions. For anyone that hasn't seen Ted Lasso, I encourage you to go watch that show. There's a great scene in there. It's the dart scene. If you Google dart scene Ted Lasso, and there's a great line in there, be curious, not judgmental. Now, I know, listen, I wish I could say I'm never judgmental. Of course, we all are at a certain point, but I really work on that. When I find myself getting judgmental, I stop and say, what can I learn from this person? What can I learn from this situation?
Yeah.
And, when you get curious, it really can help dial down, fear, anger, uncertainty. And in our society right now, and on my show, I have a show, Curious Minds with GailNow. I do interview people that I see from a curiosity perspective, because a lot of times we are jumping to conclusions. We are looking at snippets or small pieces of interviews. And I encourage everyone to sometimes just step back and be curious, whether you're applying it to networking, whether you're applying it to politics, whether you're applying it to any relationship. It's so helpful. It's probably been one of the biggest things that has been life transforming for me, is to start getting curious, because when you do, you'd be surprised at what you may find out. And sometimes it's not what you initially thought.
150%. Because I'll tell you, it is good in meeting new people, but that curiosity is great in existing relationships, because, I'm been married a long time. If you just assume why something's happening, you should get more information. That's all I'm saying, because a lot of times we don't understand, whether it's work, whether it's home. And that understanding really allows the clarity to go, oh, this is why someone has this position, rather than being in, up in arms about it right away or something like that. You can understand where someone comes from. There's a lot more behind a decision with anyone than we often take the time to understand.
You know what? That nailed it, Damon, in terms of, really in both current relationships as well as future ones. And this has to do with, manufacturers that are working with clients, that are working with staff, that are looking to recruit. When you get curious and you look for curious people, that's where the magic can happen. Now, curious people sometimes can be a little more difficult because they will ask questions. They will sometimes push back. I don't know anybody that pushes back, but you want that. I always said, whenever I worked with anybody that in my business too, whether it's designers, writers, whoever I'm working with, I want them to push back at times, to ask questions, and not just do as I ask them to do.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes you think, oh yeah, this is what I want until someone asks more questions. And luckily, I surrounded in both my business and personal life with people who are curious, and it is amazing. It really helps have success both personally and professionally.
Yeah. Yep. We got a bunch of comments here. So Dwight was talking about how his daughter went to a conference and they hooked on networking now. That's great, because I think that's the skill. And he said his daughter's 21.
Yep.
That's a skill. If you learn that early, that will pay dividends throughout your life. And it's just those relationships you build throughout your life and career can really, personally and professionally, make a big deal. And then Daffy talks about being an introvert, deciding to go into a different area, and so he can interact and switch, perspective. I think that's, as you do this more, you're going to be able to understand perspective and how important that is, because when you really ask a lot of curious questions, it fills that perspective in, like, gives you, well, no kidding. Now I can see why they need that. Whether it's a manufacturer or some industrial company that's trying to figure out why a customer has a problem, or why the customer doesn't like their product, or they've got a bad review. It doesn't really matter what it is, but that curiosity can give you the perspective that can help you come up with better solutions. So I think that's awesome. And then Dave dropped the bomb.
Yeah, that is me to a T. Not everybody would agree at times, but I always tell up front, you've probably heard me say this story, that anyone that usually I work with, you're either going to like my style or not like, because one of the things my goal is when I work with a client or work, anyone, is that I want what's best for them. I want to have them to have success. So if they say do this, then I don't think that is what's best for your customer. And I've had these conversations sometimes that, when they're writing copy or when they're wanting to do something on social media, I said, it's not about, you're not necessarily the target audience. My job is to say, wait a minute, can you reword this differently? How about writing a post like this? How about including this information? It's for your client, not for you, not for your friends and family necessarily. And that leads us to the issue of when people are posting, why they sometimes have fear and uncertainty, because they think that people are going to tease them. If they post something, and so often I'll say, because someone once said, oh, I got teased about it. I said, was it friends and family, or was it clients and future clients? No, it was friends and family. I said, okay, listen, I get teased all the time by my friends and family, GailNow, but you know what? They keep reinforcing my brand. When I go to friends, they sometimes even say, hey, GailNow is here. And I'm like, or they'll go, it's GailNow, ha, ha, ha. And they think it's funny. And I laugh along, because I do too. I think, hey, thank you for keeping on with the branding.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, those people that are ribbing you about it, they don't mean don't mean anything bad about it. But honestly, Thane Isaacs, I think, said this to me or to a group a long time ago. He talks about getting up and speaking. You do a lot of speaking, and people worry about getting up and speaking. And most of the people that are looking at you up there speaking go, holy heck, I would never get up there and do that. That's what they're worried about. They're not worried about that your shoe was untied or anything like that. They're worried about that. That's what they're thinking.
They think that, and I'll tell you a quick story about when I did. When I was out in Seattle. I was speaking at an event, and I had this idea. I did this. I came out in a costume, basically, right? And then I had to take off this lab coat, and so I had to go from being a male character kind of to a female. And I turned around, and so before I turned around, I had to put on lipstick. Well, I had changed at the last minute. I decided to use a different lipstick. So my hand was kind of shaking because I was trying to do it so fast. And I had a little mirror, and I was like, damn, I can't get it. So I had to turn around with the lipstick kind of smeared. And I was like, oh my God. But you know what? I said, run with it. So I said, well, part of this is a little bit of, getting lipstick right. So I just built it into my talk. And you know what? It was it was a very somewhat serious topic, and transitioning to, going from something funny to something serious. Anyways, it kind of broke the ice, because people didn't know what I was doing with this whole act, right? So it changed the whole energy, and it actually started so many conversations because people came up afterwards and said, "Oh, that was so great." And it made me more real to them too,
Yeah.
that I could laugh with it. And it made them think, oh my God, she's up on a stage and there's a mistake happened. And it was actually didn't alter my talk, and in fact added to it. So I encourage people, if they have some fear, once you get past that, and if you make a mistake, um, there's that saying, the most successful people make the most mistakes. If you're
Yeah.
not making a lot of mistakes, you need to rethink a lot of things, because you're probably not increasing your success opportunities. You have to fall down. You have to get teased. You have to do things that sometimes make you look silly, because then it makes you more relatable.
Yep.
And you learn from it. I've learned the most things, like that was, don't change, a prop at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. And it's great examples there. I mean, because those kind of things, as you said, make you more human to
Yep.
everyone. Because for some reason they could be putting you on a pedestal, and it really, we all are just humans, right? We're all
Yeah.
making mistakes. And then two, we often think that successful people don't make mistakes. And I
Oh,
don't care who it is. And successful people don't have problems. They just have bigger problems and more mistakes and just hoping that it's not a huge mistake that they make. And it's something that is on the way to success. Like you said, if you're not making enough bigger mistakes, then you're not pushing
yeah.
hard.
Right. And luckily, I've had mistakes along the way that now make me, like, one thing I do before I send anything off to print is check, double check, triple check, quadruple check. Like, and I get fresh eyes on things as much as possible. So those are things, I mean, and that came from a lesson. It was when I had staff, actually, and the staff that a postcard I got printed with a wrong number. And
Ooh.
yeah. But what we did right away, luckily it was a small mailing. And the first thing I said is, okay, what's going to be the remedy? We have to find no sense waving our hands and saying, oh my God, something's gone wrong. You
Yep.
find a remedy first. So by the time I went to the client, right, boss, I had to say, okay, here's what happened. Number one, I took responsibility. It was my staff, but, and people had proofed it, but no one had called the number to check.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy. I mean, mistakes are easy. They're just easy. I mean, they're so easy. And just want to say, Ingrid's in the house today. Hey,
No,
Ingrid.
sir. Now there is the connection catalyst. Now there is someone who
No
knows
doubt.
how to do online networking. And for anybody that wants any support with their LinkedIn, Inger, get in touch. And the other thing that is so amazing about what Inger's done, Inger has taken that to the next level and has got outside her comfort zone to go and do trade shows and be on the ground. So believe me, it can be done. And it just takes, you got to get out there and push against those demons that maybe want to hold you back.
Oh yeah. Yep. We could talk forever on the demons. Let's just don't even go there, because we that's a thing. And you talk about it when we were saying people might think might think it's goofy. They might rib you for this, but listen, honestly, if what you want to go after is important enough to you, do it.
Yep.
Do it if you need to. Do it if you need to be upfront talking to people, if you need to be out networking, and that is your path to success. You get to either do it and take that chance, or you can live with the regret of not doing it. And I'm going to tell you, regret doesn't go away. Someone ribbing you, it's like, yeah, whatever. After a while, like you said, it's kind of like it bounces off you. It's like, who cares? But that regret does not go away.
The other thing I think I've learned this, working in the world of manufacturing too, is that sometimes when people are teasing you, it's not a bad thing. It's sort of like, I roll with it. And now I realize a lot of times it's just a way of, camaraderie and joking around about things. So Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've had some of the most success from some of those things that you think, "Oh god, is this gonna be goofy?" And, Inger can attest to this. When I was preparing for that speech, right before I left, I was like, "This intro I have is a little strange. I don't know." And luckily, Inger was the voice of reason that said, "Gail, like, that's what people will, resonate with and will remember if you just get up and do a regular talk." And sure enough, to this day, I heard from one of the organizers once that said, um, whenever she thinks of me, she thinks of the sign up, suit up, and show up line that I have you see behind me, because that's what I talked about. And I broke that down into steps. And anyone in manufacturing, if you learn those steps, the sign up is all about mindset, the power of just deciding you're going to do it.
Yep.
Suiting up, that's curiosity. That's where you have to do your research and answer why. And then you show up. And if you do those first two steps and then decide to show up, whether on social media, whether at a trade show, whether at a networking event. And one of the things that, again, Inger was a great help with me, and it encouraged me, because even I had those doubts when it was my own story, my own speech. And that's what I provide with other people, is helping them to, get out of their way. And I would say, if you listen to me on certain things, I know what I know about when it comes to showing up on social and in networking. And now, if you ask me about some other things, like, I'm not going to be someone, if you want like an Excel spreadsheet, that's not my area of strength, but there's people that is their area of strength.
Yeah.
Cleaning my house, I have someone help with that. That's not my area of strength. Bookkeeping, I have a bookkeeper. Like,
Yeah.
you find the experts in your life, and that's where that, networking, curiosity, the world you're in, which is, manufacturing and e-commerce. I just want to say something, but I'm talking to someone else right now, a friend that I actually am going to probably introduce him maybe to you or Kurt about e-commerce, because it's a smaller business. But I said, do you have anything that you have through your website? And it's the type of business that could really get some help with that. So
Yeah.
I would never have known about passing on your names if we hadn't have met through online networking.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I'm blessed. We're blessed to be able to do what we do and meet people and talk to as many smart people as we do. And I see
Mm,
for myself in my life with clients, I have more resources now than I did 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that I can draw upon the
yeah,
experts, yourself, many other people. When we need the experts in a business to help them with something, it is so much better solutions we can bring to the table. And it doesn't matter if I'm um, someone that's I could be a salesperson for a company, I could be a manufacturer, and I'm just trying to get our name out more. All this is by this networking, you're just going to open your ecosphere of people that that could help your customers eventually, and that will, in my case, it just keeps bringing business. It just keeps
yeah,
bringing business. Not because it necessarily for us all the time. It's a
right.
lot of times it's just, hey, you need this help, go, here's some people to do that. Because that's the thing that the network is really fun, is when you can just help people.
Yes, and having that exposure both in person as well as online helps open those doors. Like a lot of people dropping the comments today, I've met a few of these through online networking in shows. Like, I think about Inger, I met, and we've done work together. Katie McDermott here, she wrote that I'm super nervous to meet people in purpose, no nerves on video whatsoever. So you know what? That's the thing. It's find your area of strength. And, for those that haven't yet met Katie, I strongly encourage it. She really helps talk about research and education about
Yeah.
manufacturing. She has lifted many people up through the courses that through the I think it's Katie, what is it? Manufacturing University. I want to get the right title, but she's really networked to bring more people and help connect people. Dave Chrysler, we
Uh,
meet and talk about all sorts of things. talking about process. We've helped each other, on those days when you just need someone to kind of give you a
Yeah.
boost, or you get stuck on something. So definitely a good idea to make these connections. And also, oh yeah, M&I University.
Yep.
Thank you, Katie. That's
Thanks, Katie.
so
Yep.
there's all these, doors that get opened when, again, when you're curious and when you can get out there and network. And, you know, even dropping comments on shows, right? So if you can't attend a show, even just drop in. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about algorithm, because that
Yeah.
is something very few people understand the why. So they may think, oh, okay, well, Gail's talking about networking and going on LinkedIn, but I don't have time for that. So why understanding algorithm is so important, especially for people in manufacturing and those that come with more of an engineering brain.
Mm-hmm.
The way it works on social, and especially on LinkedIn, people that comment, what happens is if you comment, okay, I'll use mine. If I go comment on your show, Damon, then people in my network will see that I've commented, see I'm going to be there. Now, not everybody, but if someone's scrolling through,
Mm-hmm.
might stop in. Now, last night I happened to stumble across a show with Chris Stone, who I met through Jim Fuse, who Jim Fuse had done had produced a show for me one time for one of my clients. So, so I stopped in. I didn't stay for the whole show, but I dropped a few comments, listened for a bit. So when you do that, it truly is a web. So when you're commenting, it spreads out to everyone. Then if you tag people, it also is sort of like tapping them on the shoulder and saying, hey, there's something happening over here.
Yep.
Now, Ben Baker couldn't be here today. He wrote Team Replay, but he still commented back and forth. So this is an opportunity to tap into and use the algorithm to your benefit. And people, I think, sometimes think that's like, oh, they don't want to think about algorithm. And I'm not talking about rigging it so that you get the wrong followers. No, you don't. And you don't want to tag people that aren't going to be interested. So I tagged some people for this show that I thought might be interested in attending, might get something from it. So if you are listening, and I did tag you, I hope you will drop a comment, because the people that I did tag, I did that a bit on purpose too, because I want more people to learn about you, to know what you're doing. So, Katie, I'm not sure. I think if I didn't tag you, Katie, I should have, but I know Inger.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave. So these are opportunities for people just to come on, drop a comment, and then let people know what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you seem like, that it's a bad thing. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing, if you don't have faith in your business and in your abilities, then likely it'll be harder to get other people to believe in that. So one of the things I've learned, if I don't believe in my ability to help with PR, to help with strategy, to help people understand how to utilize social media, how will anyone else believe in me? Now, Inger just posted on YouTube. Thank you for tagging on YouTube.
Yeah.
She says there are many lurkers out there, Gail. Yes. Yay to the lurkers.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that aren't commenting that, you may never see until they may need something, and all of a sudden they will.
150%.
Yep.
You will, if you are consistent in your networking. You may have met them someplace, somewhere. They may have seen you on social media. They may have you even in real life. If you're out at networking events, you meet so many people sometimes you may not remember who it was, but they will call you up if they remember you and you've made a memorable impact on them. It just happens. And the one thing that I always tell people when I'm talking about social media and they talk about LinkedIn and they go, wow, God, you do a lot on LinkedIn. I say, I do. I said, but the scary thing about it is that people get to know you by your comments. People get to know you by the videos, by the posts you do, by all that. And it starts to break down that know, like, trust. because they can really see, oh, I showed up at this event. Maybe it was something for pets or for kids, or was to support your local community. And the next day they see you on LinkedIn talking about something in business, and they go, huh, well, this is a multifaceted person, or something like that. And, that's just the kind of thing that I think that all this works together, both on and off with the algorithms, and just kind of being a thoughtful participant in life is really what I think it is anymore. To let people really help them as much as you can all the time and keep things going.
And always say yes. And so instead of saying yes, but, or no, but, yes, and to opportunities to speak, to opportunities to help someone. Example of lurking. Someone reached out to me from Reuters. They were doing a conference over in Detroit, and they asked about me coming to moderate 2 panels. And at first I was like, okay, is this fake? Is it real? Because I was like, Reuters is reaching out to me. Now, I had no contact with this person. We weren't connected on LinkedIn. And he sent me a direct message. We jumped on a call, and he said it was because of my content on LinkedIn would I come, and it was moderating 2 panels on, one was about EVs and the technology, and another one was, I forget what the other topic, but anyways, it was 2 topics that, I wasn't necessarily super expert on it, but what he was more interested in was my ability. He knew I did research and would ask questions. And so I loved it because I dove in, and I still have had contact with some of the people on the panel. And I actually connected up one of the panelists with Dave Chrysler, and we've had an event over in Detroit, and we're continuing on to do a local connecting event, for people in manufacturing and automation. And so that's what can start to happen when you say, yeah, I'll do it.
That's awesome. I mean, and it's this networking with curiosity. The one thing that I'm reminded of over and over is, if you've got a thirst for knowledge, if you are curious, and curious in your industry, curious about other people, whatever it is, networking is such a great place, because everybody's got a skill, everybody's got something, and it's so much fun just talking to people and learning from them, going, I never knew A, that maybe existed, and B, that there just that happened. Just, I mean, there's just so many things you're going to go, wow, I never even knew that happened. And nor did I know that was an industry, nor did I know there were experts in it, but it's really cool to just to know it.
Yes. And that reminds me of an interview I had with Harry Mosier from, the Reshoring Initiative. Legendary Harry Mosier. So what an amazing man, which I actually met. He was speaking at an event, and I was in the comments, and I commented, and then I went afterwards to him on LinkedIn and sent him a connecting message saying, I just saw you on this show, right? Now, to me, he's kind of a big deal, right? Harry Mosier, and I'm Robertson from, Canada here. So I ran a message, and he says, oh, that'd be great. We connected. Well, from there, we continued to have conversations, and then I had him on my my YouTube show. But he has a great story that he shares where he went to a wedding. And the moral of this story is sometimes networking can be in a place that you are comfortable at, or that it could be, a hobby you have, because you never know who's going to be there. So he went to a wedding, and he was at the table, and the conversation came up about manufacturing. Well, lo and behold, someone at the table worked in manufacturing. He got talking, they exchanged cards. He ended up, this is when he was selling some equipment. He ended up selling some equipment to this person. And it was like, so he didn't go to that wedding saying, hey, I'm going to go do business. Now, Harry's what a fascinating person. But he also told me this story. He went to some trade show, and he's on the escalator, and he turns around and he says, hey, if anyone needs whatever, see me at booth, blah, blah, blah. And I guess people came and said, I saw you on the escalator. Now that's ballsy if I did say.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, he's out there saying, so I'm not saying everybody's going to be comfortable doing that. That is a very special, I don't even know. Could I do that? I might be able to do it. Depends. Someone recently dared me to do something. I go, oh, don't daring. It better
That's
be
different.
good.
That's a different level right there. I mean, I mean, you're what you would do for a dare is like way up here.
Yeah.
What you do in normal life or without the
Yeah.
dare is like, yeah, I might even be down by the basement compared to that. So that's just like a
Yeah.
challenge,
But the real part of that story is think about if you really don't like networking with strangers or networking in these big events, go do something that you are interested in, that you do find interesting, and just talk to people, and you never know what who you're going to meet and talk to. Like I said, I went to that. It was with Epicenter. It was with through the University of Windsor. It was decided to go just to support the organization, and lo and behold, I met some amazing women there too. So
that's awesome. Awesome. And Ingrid drops this great quote. It's not about connecting people network. It's about connecting people with ideas, and people with opportunities. That's awesome. Cause that's really what it's about. Yeah.
yes,
Mic drop right there.
like that moment. That is, we've had a couple of good quotes and comments about it being transformational. It really is. Like I could go through personally a list of from my very early young days of how, meeting people. I just had another person on my show, on my Curious Mind show, my 92-year-old high school teacher who taught
Nice.
my journalism class, and we reconnected again. He tracked me down online, and just amazing, right? To have these conversations and talk about, my time with him and how I got into journalism, and why he started the course. And I'm also a recovering journalist, so
Yeah.
that's what led me into being, I think curious too. Is that because I was deciding between journalism and law, interestingly, but law is just so much detail work and reading. I mean, I like reading, but I marvel at people who are lawyers. So that's a
It's a
whole other
different
world.
skill. It's
Yeah.
a different skill, that's for
Different
sure.
skill.
We got Raman. Hey, thanks for dropping a comment in here today. And back here, I want to go back a little bit. Katie, hey, use me as example. I'm not consistent in my online activity. And that is one thing. And we talked about that before we got online. Consistency is key. I mean, it really is. And you talked about if it's once a month, be consistent. If it's once a week, if it's every day, whatever it is, be consistent. And I really think that now, even in B2B business, our potential customers and our existing customers have so much coming at them every day that consistency is needed to keep your relationship strong, to keep yourself top of mind, to really keep your customers informed of potential changes they should be aware of, new technologies. There's just so many things that consistency brings. How have you seen that consistency really help some of your clients as they come into this?
Yeah, it's so important that they not look at, I use the analogy too, is like, a yoga instructor will often say, it's not what other people around you are doing. This is your practice. This is you. So, don't look around and say, oh, geez, they're posting every day and feeling overwhelmed. Or, um, instead look at it as what will work for you. I usually encourage people to start off, decide you're going to post once a month. Just spend some time doing that, and then spend some time in between doing comments. Post every 2 months if you have to, but just set up a calendar and, figure out what best to do. I strongly suggest that rather than out of the gate doing every day and then falling off and then
Yeah.
getting frustrated and saying, I'm never going to go on LinkedIn again. So
Yeah.
it's always easy to add more than to go from every day to once a month. So yeah, consistency as in life in everything. As I was saying, just talk to my trainer about this. I said, if I'm going to the gym, I'm taking my classes. So I know trainers want to work with you 2-3 times a week. I said, listen, if I come once a week to do the heavy duty training, I'm still further ahead than not coming. So, pick something that, and the other thing is right now I need to look at what I can consistently do, because it's too hard to do 3 times a week, and then all of a sudden shift back. So
Yeah.
I'm starting at something that I can manage in my schedule, and then I can always add.
That is awesome. That's awesome advice. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're trying to reading, working out, being a better person. I mean, the little minute changes consistently over time is what adds up. Working out's a great thing. Don't think you're going to go to the gym 5 days a week starting off.
Yeah.
Go one day, go for 10 minutes.
Yep.
And you go, oh, I can't get a workout in 10 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah.
Go the next week for one day and go for 10 minutes. Do that for a month and then go for 15 minutes the next month. And you're going to find that it's so ridiculously easy that why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
It's like the posting consistency. You know, it's once a month should be pretty easy for most people. And start off with something you can live with, because your frustration, it just leads to those peaks and valleys in what you do. So,
I
well,
wonder.
Gail,
Yeah. I just wondered if anybody had any other questions. Because
Yeah.
one of the times I often wonder, okay, why are more people not using LinkedIn, not using as a tool? So I've tried to do a bit of research. It seems to be time and fear. I don't know if there's anything else. I think the time thing is, it's the same thing. Why people don't exercise. It's why people don't eat well, all this. Well, I don't have time, so I'm going to go get fast food, right? Or I think the fear thing is also just fear of not knowing what to do, fear of being, teased, whatever. There's a whole bunch of things. But I think if we look back in life, what are the things that you've used those two excuses for? And I call them excuses because
they are
we all
excuses.
have time. We all have the same amount of time.
Yeah.
It's not time management, it's priority management. So how do we prioritize and then decide what your goals are? There's one or two people. It's interesting. I worked with someone that they actually do not probably need to use social media. And they're the one that is actually listening to me the most and taking direction out of a company. So interestingly, and they're phenomenally successful. Interesting. Connect the dots.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, it's the networking, however you're going to do it, is critical for long-term success, I believe, because we don't know everything. We don't have all the answers, but if we meet the right people, we can answer those questions. We can help ourselves personally and professionally. And that's one of the things that I really, I think that you've taught me a lot, is that curiosity allows us to meet people that may not necessarily be who we normally would meet, but can really teach us a lot. And
Yes. And I met a woman on a train that was at that women's event that I went to. She was now the lead person there. And she calls me her meet cute friend because we met on a train that was like 6 years ago or something. And our paths cross at different times. And just one quick question came in here from Harry that
I want to put that up here because I was going to see that.
Yes.
So what do you think, Gail?
This is a really good one. I'm going to add it to my list of the third reason. There is going to be mean, nasty people in real life, more so online, because I know people that are mean online and I've met them in person. I'm like, they're very different. They don't come across that same way. So I think I often use this. There's a scroll button for a reason. And when people are writing nasty stuff, I think most people look at the people writing the nasty stuff as being the problem, right? So I've had it happen to me. I did a post one time that was a little, I was over on Twitter and X, but you know what? It blew up for a little bit and then life went on. And I think sometimes the best thing is just ignore. Because the more you engage, right, the algorithm will work. It'll just feed them, and then they just it'll bring more. So the best thing I always said, if someone's writing something rude, mean, personal, ignore it, move along. And I found the best success that way. Just ignore it, and it eventually and I wouldn't let that stop you, because you're not going to prevent the mean nasties online, but ignoring them, it tends to, if you want something to grow, you feed it.
Yeah.
Don't feed the trolls.
Yeah.
Now some people, I was told when it happened to me, they said, oh, if I engage, it'd help expand my network. But I'm like, I don't want that network expanded.
Yeah.
So to
Exactly.
me, I ignored it. That was my decision.
Exactly. And for me, trolls on LinkedIn is pretty easy. I delete comments.
Yeah.
I do. I delete comments just because I'm like, hey, don't come into my post and try to sell something. You're going to get deleted. That's the way it is. But the feeding that is 150%. If someone's coming in rude, you might even say, great perspective.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Just, hey, everybody, because two things that always come to mind is, and one of them is not going to be PC at all because Kurt's not here today, so I can do this way. Is haters are going to hate, right? They're going to find they woke up angry. They just, and I don't live that way.
No.
A lot of us don't live that way.
No.
And the second thing, everybody has an opinion, just like everybody's got something else that I won't say. So
so
everybody gets that perspective, right? They get that perspective. I don't care what it is. And there's a lot of different things. So those trolls are going to be trolls and they're going to be out there, and that it is part of it. Just like
curate your feed too. Like if anyone, I do a lot over on X, Twitter, whatever, and I like it, but I curate and I follow people. I really make sure I'm engaging with people who are informative and insightful, but do I get some crap too? But I sometimes I just let it roll. I'm like, oh, that's a joke. They're kind of seem a bit off the mark, but
great question, Harry. And it's something that, it's just as Gail said, just don't feed the beast. Don't feed the beast, whatever you do. And, we can live positive no matter what other people are doing around us. That's, I've learned it the hard way, but it's a better life when you do that. It's a better life. So, well, Gail, it's been awesome talking to you today. Good stuff. I mean, the showcase person for networking with curiosity in itself. Thanks for being here today. Kurt was off on vacation this week. Glad he can get some time off and do that. We are back again Monday on Manufacturing E-commerce Success with another great guest. And yes, once again, I didn't check who that is, but
check your page, go and follow you and connect with you.
But we'll have fun. But thanks so much for being here today. I want to thank all the guests today. There are so many people, and we had Lucy just jumped in here too. So, man, this is a great place for us every week to be able to share wonderful people's perspectives like yours, Gail, and Timothy, Inger, Dave, Harry, Dwight. I'm looking back at the beginning, tons of comments today. We love that. And Lucy, Megan, Katie, wow, Dafe, just thanks so much for being Inger. I might have missed them. Shafa, thanks for being here today. We will be back again next week with more awesome people talking about great stuff. Thanks for being here today. Gail, hang out for a moment. We'll wrap up offline. Thank you.